whoever engineers the best context around their customer in this new age is going to be the winner. AI allows you to be high tech and high touch, so you can do personalization at scale. This is the technology that allows you to build that world-class context about your customers and your data.
Using AI for efficiency gains is something we've talked a lot about on this channel, but there's so much more we can leverage AI for. What about making digital experiences more magical, more human? One of the promises of AI is for personalization at scale. But how do we do it? So in episode 62 of Tool Use, brought to you by Toolhive, we're joined by Russel. Lee is the founder of Minimum Viable Launch. He's worked in AI for over a decade, and he's worked with some of the fastest growing companies to integrate AI into their businesses. So today we're going to discuss how you can use AI for that personalization at scale, what tools you need, what things you need to consider, what mindset shifts you need. So I really hope you enjoy this conversation with Russel.
What's fascinating to me is some of the biggest innovations that I've been in charge of developing, the things that give those outsized returns. It's a small amount of effort and gives you wild results. Very rarely is the crazy North Star Hail Mary vision. It's usually a series of small tweaks and small experience gains that compound on top of each other that say, finally, this is now a consumable experience by your customers that they love, that they tell others about. The area that we are kind of getting people to really focus on in terms of where I think the low-hanging fruit with AI is this moving into this direction of personalization at scale. This idea that before AI, you had a choice. You could be a highly personalized business, which kept intentionally small, charged high ticket. You serve fewer customers, but you know their names, you know when their dog's birthday is. It's the kind of high touch, white glove service. Or you had the choice of let's be really scalable. And so to be scalable, we're going to be templated, we're going to be automated, we're going to lose some of that personalization, but we can serve many, many more customers in doing so. And as you move into that kind of more unpersonalized service, you close less people, you get less loyal customers, you do lose something there. AI allows you to be high tech and high touch, so you can do personalization at scale. And I think a lot of businesses, if they really thought about what that means, it changes the game for marketing. It changes their entire sales pipeline of how you have these customer conversations and then follow up with them in individualized ways. It changes your nurture sequence within your business massively, and it changes your product delivery system. And this idea of treating your customers not as the faceless mass, but as the individual, I think is the big change that happens in the intelligence era. People are gonna look back in 10 to 15 years time and go, do you remember in the 2020s when they had like static landing pages that everyone visited? How crazy. It didn't change that user's needs at all. That's going to be a wild thing to look back on.
I love the idea of personalization at scale because we've all received those emails where it'll be like, hi, and then in brackets first name because something wasn't parsed correctly. And I feel like that's an easy example. Just by addressing someone by their name in an email, you have a better likelihood of getting a success. What other avenues should people look into in their businesses or in their departments to add some personalization to the experience?
Well, let's take the email example, because I think we've all had the other form of personalization, right? Where it has your merge name field in it, but it's essentially an email like, hey Lee, I saw you're the owner of Minimal Viable Launch. Great business, love what you guys are doing. Anyway, do you want to buy my stuff? And you're like, what is this email? Why did you even try and personalize it like that? It's like the effort wasn't worth, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. In the world of AI marketing, this idea of being high tech, high touch, the information age way of doing this is we create a CRM of 10,000 customers. We've got their email addresses, we know their first name. We create one email, we customize it with the merge fields, 1 or 2 points, and we send one email to 10,000 people. And we hope that 1 to 2% of those people click on it, click through to it, and maybe book a sales call for that nurture, right? It's spray and pray, one to many, highly undifferentiated. The world of high-tech, high-touch marketing is very, very different. You still have the 10,000 people in your CRM, but you write 10,000 emails and send them once. Everyone gets a pretty individualized experience. And when I talk to marketers about this, like they open their eyes in fear, I thought they would get really excited about this. That this terrifies them because they go, how would we track metrics? How would we track open rates? Who cares? Who cares about most of that stuff, right? What we want is to set up an infrastructure that allows you to send individualized, like truly individualized touch points to your customers. And what we often talk about in our company here at Minimal Viable Launch is whoever engineers the best context around their customer in this new age is going to be the winner. It's not going to be who has the best AI technology. Unless you work in OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, DeepMind, whatever, you don't have access to the true state of the art. Everyone else has what is the commercial state of the art, and it's one line of code to switch between them. Who cares? If you're loyal to an AI company, I don't know why, because like they're all pretty good. Just go who has the least token expense, right? Don't be loyal. So the models are not your moat. What is going to be your moat is who can become cleverest at generating unstructured, qualitative data about their customers. This is your sales calls transcripts. It is doing quizzes and other kind of fun ways of interacting with your customer that allows them to give you open text entries about their pain points and their problems, so that you can do something in your business. We call them context engines. You can combine those insights about your customer and the facts from your CRM into a template of an email that you want to write, and you have 40% of that email is templated out. You know it's good, high quality stuff. 60% of that is the AI's hallucination between the insight and the fact. And they get incredibly customized, personalized outreach. And then it becomes the game of how do we get more of this. Some of the experiments we've done with businesses around this, they get a 20% conversion rate on their emails. 20%. It's crazy. Now, it's new. That is going to go down over time, I guarantee you. But right now, if you're brave enough to be an early mover, you can go and grow your business dramatically by just not doing terrible email outreach and being clever about how you get that context of your customer.
Could we go into that a little bit deeper? Because you mentioned the sales calls is a valid form of collecting this context, as well as open-ended answers in forms or surveys or however else. Do you see value in things like setting up Google Analytics so we can see how they interact with their website, or are those data points kind of outdated in this AI age?
Google Analytics. I love Google Analytics, and I'm not an SEO expert, and this is not my world. So what I'm going to say is going to ruffle some feathers, and people will probably tell me why I'm all sorts of wrong, but this is my experience with it. Google Analytics always shows you the past events. So you can see things have happened, but you very rarely know why they happened or how they happened. And it's kind of this soup. And I liken it to a bit of a mental challenge, right? We got a pool table with a load of, with the balls are all kind of spread all over the place, right? And you've been blindfolded, put out the room. I whack the cue ball, they go everywhere. You haven't seen it. I bring you in and I say, Mike, tell me the exact path these balls took to reach this position they're in. It's an impossible endeavor. You can't do that after the fact. You have to observe in the moment. So Google Analytics is useful for so far, but I think the entire industry of getting obsessed with these kind of statistics is a little bit, let's just say, misguided, because as far as my skill set is concerned, my understanding of statistics and these trends is like, it tells you what happened at scale, but that doesn't matter for the individual. Where I think marketing and sales goes in the world of AI, I kind of touched on it earlier, about this idea of a web page reacting to you. It's a little bit more complicated on how you do that for the main company website. Let's kind of shorten it down into a landing page. Let's say you have a landing page, and this is an idea that I think people are going to have to get their head around, is this kind of template instance model, you have a template of a landing page. 60% of it, you've said, this is going to be the hero section, going to have a pricing box here. The price is $4.99, whatever it is. This is our privacy policy. That doesn't need to be hallucinated by AI. That's pretty, standard. You set that template up, and then you have like really advanced merge fields all over that landing page. So it uses their name. It's got areas for their big pain points. It's got, it tailors the language for their business name and their business industry specifically, okay? And you're never sending people to a generalized landing page. You're sending them to a customized template, an instance of that template. And so then we get engagement statistics from the instance. So and this is what personalization at scale really unlocks, that customer visited the website, they scrolled 3/4 of the way down, they clicked that button, and because you've given them a completely unique instance of that web page that no one else has ever seen, you know how they got here, you know who they are, and you know what they've done, and you have the identifiable object. So if they hover over a particular FAQ, you then use that insight to send them a follow-up email answering that question. You will become like magic to this person. That is a bit of a North Star vision, right? That this is kind of what we're trying to build with this product context engines to enable you to do these things. I'm not saying this is easy, and not necessarily feasible with a lot of the technology out there today, but we can create these instances and we can have personalized tracking on there. And that's what personalization at scale does for a business. I don't care about the analytics of 10,000 people. I care about your analytics and your engagement score, Mike, so then I can use it to deepen that customer relationship off the back of that.
I agree that focusing on the individual rather than the aggregate is one of the unlocks for this age. I love the idea, too, of it being framed as like a magical experience. How do you balance the desire for this hyper-personalization with the proliferation of AI slop? So if I just go on ChatGPT, I'm like, write me some copy for this type of persona, for this type of business, copy paste it on, it's probably bad copy. So do you recommend people try to like have a fine-tuned model they run, custom instructions they set up? How do you try to make that AI quality elevated enough that it is a magical experience rather than just slop?
I think we have to be mature enough to admit what the technology actually is. There's a lot of hype around AI. There's a lot of PhD level intelligence AI, and there will be no jobs and there will be no industries left. Well, having built a lot of stuff in the last 10 years with machine learning and AI in lots and lots of industries at scale, the statistical parlor trick that is the large language model, I don't think is going to get us to true kind of human level intelligence, right? So we have a tool here. We don't have a new being that has arrived on planet Earth with us that we're now co-evolving with. We have a tool. It's a continuation of the trend that has been going on with humanity for millennia now. And we need to use this tool in the way that amplifies its strengths and minimizes its weaknesses. If anyone's kind of been around the AI space for a long time, they've heard of more of X paradox, this idea that computers are really good at things that humans are really bad at, and humans are really good at things that computers are really bad at. But humans look at what computers can do and go, wow, if it can play chess and go at levels that can't be compete, like, of course it can do my job. Well, no, actually, dear human, you are quite a miraculous machine yourself. It's not very easy to compete with you in a lot of spaces, especially as a computer. So when we understand the limitations of the tool, that we have this statistical trick, we have this parlor trick that we're going to run again and again and again and again at scale and in different ways, and the models are going to get more powerful, and we're going to have different techniques that under the hood that let us do different sleight of hand tricks with the tokens that come out, the words that come out, right? When we understand this, we can understand that at a base model level, if you didn't modify the output of your AI and you put the cat sat on there, everyone would get map, because that's the top most likely result, right? And so if everyone has access to the same models and everyone gets the same output, you get regression to the mean. I think this actually has another name because someone's been moaning at me on social media that that's not the correct mathematical term. I don't care. I like regression to the mean, right? The idea, the regression to the mean, is as people use more and more AI, and as AI gets more and more it filters into the training set, we get this kind of muddy training set that the new models are moving towards. We get more and more and more of the same outputs. That little M dash that annoys everyone so much is because there's loads of M dashes in the training material that was used from these ebooks, right? So that's why we get them all the time. That's why it's a tell. The way you fight against the mean, again, comes back to this idea of the context engine. Because you can have completely unique statistical context to put into the model, meaning we could have one prompt that says, you are an SDR, you're a sales rep for a company that sells Windows, right? Let's say this AI is going to go out into the world and sell Windows. And if you just use the base model, it would have all the tells and the ways of kind of writing that everyone can kind of see. Because humans are incredible pattern matchers, right? You know when someone's left you an AI comment, you don't know why you know, but your brain picks up on something subtle. That experience would kind of suck. And I think more and more there's going to be a pushback against kind of plain AI use. But when you go to the level where you bring that in-house, you break out of the box, so to speak, of ChatGPT and Claude, and you say, hang on a minute, the underlying technology is amazing. I want to bake something custom. I'm going to have a different temperature rating. I'm going to use different top P settings, which is how it kind of switches words in and out based on the statistical likelihood of that word appearing. But I'm also going to have our own vector databases, this store of insights that I'm going to feed. So I'm going to build completely unique contexts for this AI to feed off of. And I'm going to have my own recipes for how we transform this data. And we're going to have our own templates for how we contain the hallucinations of the AI into high quality outputs. If you go to that level, people can't tell that your output is AI because it doesn't match the pattern that they've picked up on. I'm fascinated when I look at entrepreneurs' usage of AI and they show me their prompts and it says something like, you are a sales development representative, you sell Windows, you are going to take the customer's name and business and write a world-class sales letter. Okay, that has a huge variance of success, right? Sometimes that sales letter is really good, sometimes that sales letter is absolutely like mid, and sometimes it's completely awful. But with templating, the way that I would write that prompt is, here is your role. Here is the template with the double brackets of first name, biggest pain point, newest deal, amazing insight about the product, whatever it is. And then I would give it examples of good and bad, few shot learning examples. And if you are against me in that market and you're using the kind of standard GPT output versus me with my own infrastructure in the business, the great context around the customer, the great recipe and template, it's like bringing a knife to a gunfight. I will win because my infrastructure is more sophisticated than yours. It can output more personalized, visceral content. And I think that's how you fight against that.
Yep, because it all comes down to input-output. So if you give it more contextualized input, you're going to get a better, more targeted output. If you want to add personalization to your own interaction with AI agents, you're going to want to give them access to your data and systems using MCP. And that can be a little bit scary, which is why I've been using ToolHive. ToolHive makes it simple and secure to use MCP. It includes a registry of trusted MCP servers. It lets me containerize any other server with a single command. I can install it in a client in seconds, and secret protection and network isolation are built in. You can try ToolHive too. It's free and it's open source, and you can learn more at toolhive.dev. Now back to the conversation with Lee.
I love that you said input output. I've been watching a ton of Sam Ovens videos recently. I don't know if you know who Sam Ovens is. He runs school.com with Alex Hormozy. Incredible entrepreneur, grew a consulting business, I think, to $18 million on his own, as a crazy guy. And he talks about input outputs all of the time. And there's a great saying in software, garbage in, garbage out. Most people are putting garbage into their AI and they're going, why is this giving me AI slop? Why is this terrible? Well, because like what you did was terrible. And let's take AI video creation, for example. My Instagram is flooded with AI videos at the minute. But because I look at content creators who teach you how to be a better content creator, there are a few people using AI tools to enhance their content creation process. They've done the base video filming themselves, and then they're layering AI and AI techniques on top. Those videos are incredible. They are unbelievable. And then there's those who just lazily say, hey, GPT, give me a video of Stephen Hawking on a half pipe. Okay. Like, it's funny for 5 seconds, I guess, but like, you get out what you put in. And this is why I'm not concerned about AI taking jobs, because there's always going to be humans who co-create with the AI, who put more in than those who just say, I'm vibe coding. Yeah, cool. You're going to be outcompeted by the engineers who know how to write software and use AI to be even better at that.
The trick I find is use AI as like a conversational partner to learn a topic deeply, and then apply that knowledge with AI assistance to build something cool. Because you can't just, like you said, everyone has access to the same tools. So if you just go and ask it a basic question, everyone has access to the exact same response. Before we move on, you mentioned a laundry list, a few ideas of things that can help build that advantage and build that infrastructure. Would you mind going over a couple tools that either you have experience with or that you'd recommend people explore so that they can start building up these systems before they go fully custom?
You don't need to go all the way down to the level of building something in like LangGraph, LangChain, a fully custom coded solution. We at Minimal Viable Launch, we build stuff in that technology when it is required. But we also try and get away with the least amount of technology in a process that we can, which is funny as technologists, right? I love tools. NAN is like one of my favorite things in the world. It has a learning curve, but when you get over that, and there's a great YouTube ecosystem around NAN, which is why I recommend it a lot. Like, you can find a tutorial. Start really simple and build some basic agents that will send you an email. And you will learn so much through that process. And then you'll think, well, what else can I put together? I remember one of my first agents. I have this 10-year vision document that I work on with my coach, right? I put that into an agent. It has 16 questions it asks me, and then it outputs a system that I should build in my business to achieve that goal faster. I thought, this is a fun experiment. Every Monday morning, I call this thing System Zero. I sit down with it and I talk to it, and it says, what do you want to talk about? Your business, your health, your relationship? There's a lot in that document, right? That thing has made me more money than I know what to do with, because it's made me set up investment systems. It's made me set up saving systems. It's made me set up whole new lead magnets in the business. It hasn't really helped on the relationship front, if I'm honest with you. But like, that simple experiment has paid dividends. And that is a very, 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 very simple agent to make. Anyone could do that with a YouTube tutorial and 6 hours work banging their head against the keyboard if it's your first ever agent, okay? Explore that tool. Explore those kind of drag and drop builds. Go build something called make.com or Zapier. Those are pretty awesome tools as well. If you want to go deeper, and this is more technically complex and it's a little harder to explain, but a technology that I think everyone needs to get very aware of very quickly is something called a vector database. And a vector database, you can imagine a normal database of the information age. It's rows and columns. It looks like an Excel spreadsheet, right? And the reason we have things like SharePoint and Google Drive is that unstructured data, your call transcript, your video, your social media posts, your non-smoking policy at work, all that stuff lives in those abysses in your business. You put something in SharePoint, where did it go? Who knows? I've never seen that file again. That stuff doesn't fit in a relational database. You would have it's hard to find all of the rows and columns that would work for that. So a vector database solves a very particular problem for AI. And bear with me, because this is a little complicated to explain, but you can imagine that a vector database, instead of rows and columns, is a 3D space. It's like a cube of space that sits in your computer. And if you imagine inside that cube, there's loads of little dots. It kind of looks like the map of the Milky Way, something like that, right? There's points in space, further back, closer towards you, up, down, left, right, all of this stuff. And each of those dots represents a data point. And what you do with a vector database is you feed your documents, your video, your audio, whatever it is, into an AI model that creates what's called an embedding. It uses very clever algorithms to say, this is what this chunk of a paragraph of this document, this is what it means, right? It's about a sunrise. It's a picture of a sunrise with a beautiful golden meadow in front of it. And it gives it a really long string of numbers, which is like a location on a map, okay? And that relates to a space within your vector database. Why the hell would you want to do this? Because it allows you to use your language to chat with your data. So if you had thousands of pictures in your vector database, some of them are like you, your friends, you're out drinking, you're on a boat, there's a sunrise, there's one of a field, there's in the forest, there's loads of photos in there. And you have an AI agent that says, is connected to this vector database, and you put into the chat, pull me back all of my photos of sunsets or sunrises. That sentence has a string, a location that's very similar to the location of the photo with the sunrise in it. They're very close in space because they mean the same thing. So the AI goes to that point, searches for the data points around it, pulls them all back, and then can chat with you about this. This is magic when you know what to do with this. This is how you ingest every policy document in your business that you've ever had, and you could have your HR representative chat with that and create an answer for a policy at any moment in time within seconds. We've worked with a sustainability consultancy here in the UK. They have to look through thousands of documents, thousands of pages of documents to answer questions like, what's the flow rate? They do skyscrapers, right? What's the flow rate of the taps in the bathroom on floor 102? I don't know. Okay, we go find the document. No, now the AI has ingested every single one of those documents, and they open up a chat window and say, what is that flow rate? It goes on page 62 of document ABC. It states the flow rate is bang. This gives you superpowers. If you're a content creator, imagine every video for yourself, Mike. Imagine every podcast transcript you've got, you stick into a vector database, and you then have an AI agent that helps you generate ideas for content. And you say, you give it a particular prompt, and you say, go and find me every time I've spoken about personalization at scale. And this video comes up, and 5 other videos comes up, and then it comes up with new ideas based on that and connects them for you. This is magic for a business, and it is confusing and it is technical. But if you can get your head around it, this is the technology that allows you to build that world-class context about your customers and your data.
I feel like more and more people are getting exposed to this semantic searching and trying to find the similarity between different concepts. So I'm glad you brought it up because it is a very intimidating aspect to get into. Just because you mentioned the content angle, one thing that I found in the past was I would go onto Andrew Huberman's site, type in a certain thing that I want, and then just like timestamp the video and you could watch the segment. But it lacked the ability to chat, where you could actually say, my objective, my goal is to sleep better. And then it can reference all of those specifically. And this is what a vector database would unlock. Also, one thing just quickly before I forget, on N8N, they just recently announced the ability to do prompt to initial template. So you can actually go in, use natural language to be like, I want an agent to connect to my Gmail whenever I get like a pitch deck, start this workflow. And then it'll do the nodes. You can still drag and drop an interface with it. But you are the third guest, I think back to back, who's mentioned N8N. So you're really pushing me towards trying to give it a try.
It's a great platform. Like there is a learning curve, and I think the interface is a little confusing. But when it clicks, because you've got these, for the audience who are like trying to visualize this, you've got these nodes, and when you click into the node, you get almost like a split view of these 2 panels. And what it is information in, do something with the agent or whatever the node is, and then information out. And you're passing information left to right. And that takes a little while to get your head around. But once you get your head around that, you go, oh, okay, I can transform data through these pipelines. I can download a spreadsheet, and I can run an agent on every one of them. We did this for a sustainability consultancy. They have to analyze the spend data of their customers line by line for the entire year. They said, give us a big Excel spreadsheet, and we'll go through and we'll give it a carbon category, and we'll give you like, what is your carbon output based on how much you spent in that category. It used to take them days. We've now built an agent that, like, to a 85% standard, and some of it just doesn't have the information to do it. Their human would have to go and ask the company for that. It runs through, they click it once, it runs through line by line by line by line, and it fills it in, and they go, yeah, you know what, like, that's doing an incredible job. But it doesn't fire their sustainability consultant. Now their sustainability consultant spends more time prepping the data and reviewing the data and consulting with the customers, which unlocks new revenue opportunities. They've now become high tech, high touch.
What do you recommend as resources people can go to online to try to get exposure to this, how they're trying to implement AI to help their business be more successful? Where can they go?
I had a challenge a couple of weeks back. I did a presentation to 800 businesses where they're all coaches, consultants, like very non-technical people, and on the older side of life. So they weren't digital natives, let's say. They haven't grown up with like an iPad in their hand. How do you teach them to build AI agents? Because there is complexities to this stuff. What I would say, if you are in the world of ChatGPT or Claude and Anthropic, like, just start by creating a custom GPT. Start it. That's actually pretty simple, and it can give you some really good results. It gives you the ability to have a system prompt and fine-tuning data that you can play around with. Okay, and then if you want to break out of the box, a platform like NAN is very, very powerful, but you are going to have more confusion there. So go onto YouTube. My most profitable habit in my life is the fact that I'm a complete YouTube nerd. And I will sit late on a Saturday or Sunday night, or most weeknights, watching a 2-hour-long tutorial by some guy who's got like 10 subscribers on how to build something in NAN, or here's how you code something in Python. Like, all of my skills haven't really been acquired through traditional. I studied drawing, for God's sake. Like, it's not that useful, right? But I've become a developer. I've become an engineer who's built products that scale to millions of users. And it will shock people maybe to know that all of that information has come from YouTube and books. But YouTube in particular, I think, is a gold mine if you can find the right tutorial for your problem. Someone somewhere has experienced the exact problem you have, and they've probably recorded a video about it. And you can use AI to articulate the problem you are facing. And then you can start to search. Because I think that the thing I will say, if you're going to go down this journey as a non-technical person of how you learn to build AI or anything technical, to brace yourself, because part of the process and part of the joy is getting stuck to the point where you want to throw your laptop out the window. And you will then fix something, and it will work, it will run. And you will get the biggest dopamine hit you've ever had in your life because you've overcome a very hard problem. But the issue in the start of learning this is you don't know what you don't know. So you don't know that there's a very easy method or tool that you could use to solve the problem. And so you struggle trying to build something custom when you could have just pulled something in that someone else has done and solve it in 5 seconds, right? This unknown unknowns is really difficult to overcome. So AI is actually your friend here, because you need the language to be able to describe your problem. Open up advanced mode ChatGPT, say, this is what I'm like, how can I describe this problem? What am I facing here? What's the terminology? And I love using AI to accelerate my business. I love using AI to accelerate my ability to articulate my problems, because that's how it actually speeds up my learning.
Yep, and I will always vouch for YouTube as a learning tool. I've learned the vast majority of my career skills through it as well. And I want to like emphasize the point that you made, because I find it very valid. Have a conversation with the AI about what you want to do. Just brain dump any type of additional thoughts, context, questions. You can put it all in there, and then it'll help structure your thinking. You can ask for a little learning plan. I actually find Gemini is decent in this regard because it has such a tight integration with YouTube that it can say, here's my recommendation, here's some videos to support it. I mean, once you know the proper query from Anthropic or ChatGPT, you can just go on YouTube either way. But it's finding a workflow that works for you, and going back to the framing of what way do you learn best? Do you want it to generate some images like diagrams to help you out? Do you want it to explain like you're 5 till you get the very core fundamentals? But the curiosity and experimentation and willingness to play and just explore, discover is going to be a massive differentiator for how people benefit from this technology.
That is the key skill. I don't know if you know who George Hotz is, the guy who like first hacked the iPhone. He does this, like, he does the streams every like week, every couple of weeks on whenever he's, what I find fascinating about him is when he is curious about something, he goes deep on it, right? And, you know, maybe a slightly controversial individual at some points in time, but I find him fascinating to watch because he's someone who just relentlessly follows his curiosity, and it has massively impacted his life. I'm kind of the same thing. This is a really silly thing. When I first started to learn to code, you get into this world called tutorial hell. You're going to watch a tutorial, you're going to be able to build what they build, and then you're going to go, great. But it doesn't actually teach you how to develop. It teaches you how to follow tutorials really quickly and really well. It doesn't actually teach you how to think like a developer or a technologist. And so to escape tutorial hell, you must break out of the mold and create something that is truly yours and go through the struggle. You have to earn this, right? And I remember the thing I wanted at the time was to check the value of my Tesla investments, right? I'd be reading books about personal finance, read The Richest Man in Babylon, was like investing, very small amounts of money. And I wrote a very silly little script that I think I still have on my in my Apple Notes file somewhere right at the bottom, that basically knew the static value of my shares, and it did a very simple API call, and it looked up the value of Tesla shares right now and did a calculation. And I remember when I wrote that and it run, and I had this experience of like, oh my God, I can now build anything in the world. What's cool about that, I didn't have AI at the time. That was really hard to do. What's cool about AI now is you can kind of shortcut the route out of tutorial hell. Follow the tutorial, get so far, then when you are curious, let's say you're making a tutorial where it's like hey, I'm going to build an AI agent that sends a very simple Slack message. I want something that when I click this button, it sends us, like, that's a good project to start with. And you do a tutorial on that. But then you open up AI and you say, hey, I've got this system. It sends a Slack message. I want to be able to send a file. Help me extend this. And it will help you get out of the tutorial and get into your own lane. Then you are actually learning. The trap is when you then start trying to rely too much on AI to do the thinking for you. And you become lazy, and this is hard. And then AI has done the learning. You haven't. Now you are someone who can control AI and do some stuff. Maybe it's valid. Try to retain control, but use AI to break out those tutorials, to customize the tutorial for you.
And ask it questions, ask for definitions, get the why out of it. Like try to go deep, and then you never know where else in your journey it'll apply. Lee, I had a ton of fun with this. Really appreciate you sharing the insights. Before we let you go, is there anything you want the audience to know?
I've loved this conversation, Mike. It's been great as always to talk about these subjects. We help people build these systems into their businesses that allow them to do high tech, high touch personalization at scale, these context engines for these businesses. We run a monthly masterclass where we show people how to disrupt their industry with AI agents in that way, not to fire your team, not to become more efficient, but to blow your customers' socks off by creating remarkable customer experiences. I would love to see you there. You can find links for that masterclass at our website, minimalviablelaunch.io.
Thank you for listening to my conversation with Lee Russel. I'm curious if you've tried any techniques to do personalization at scale. I really believe it is going to be a differentiator as we move forward into this AI age. How can you make your customers feel like a one of one, very special, very focused, and bring that magic to the experience? I want to give a quick shout out to Tool Hive for supporting the show so I can have conversations like this, and I'll see you next week.